Hey, welcome. Uh, this is the first question of question set 21. So the first one is what is the highest mark obtained in the first term mathematics subject? So I'm gonna write, but before writing the query, you have to mention the subject and the term and the student's details as well. So let's write it real quick. Select all from the database name exam marks db dot the table that we are working on, and we have to join the table. So in this case I'm going to join the student table. So the student table that in the exam mark db, and now we have to mention which column that we are going to match with the student mark record. Sorry, yeah, student mark record. For the student marks records index number, I column number column is going to match with student dot uh, index number. If we execute the query, we'll get a result like this, but in this case we don't need all the things for now. So I only need the first name and the last name only, because we will get the other things from and yeah, I need the student index number also. Student index number. So now we will get only three columns. And after that I'm going to join the subject table. So the subject table that in the exam mark db. So the subject is the table. Now we have to mention which column on the subject table. So I'm going to say subject id is going to match with subject tables subject id, I guess. Yeah. So if we execute now, we won't get any, because we only mentioned the student index number and the first name last name. For that I'm going to mention the subject id. We don't need the subject id, we need the subject name, right? Who needs the subject id? Who's going to figure out this by the subject id? Yeah, we get the subject id, it's mathematics. And so there can be a lot of subject names, but we haven't mentioned which one. That's why we get subject name as mathematics. So there uh, subject id is equal to 2. But now let's see, we'll get the science, right? If we say 1, we'll get the mathematics. But instead of searching by subject id, we want to get search by subject name is equal to mathematics. Yeah, And also, are we done? I think we're not done. Um, we can use the exam term table to get more specific, to be more specific. So I'm gonna join the exam table. Also join the table that in the exam marks db dot exam term, and now we have to mention which column. So in the exam term table, there is a exam term id, and it's going to match with the student exam mark records term id, exam term id. Now if we say the subject name is mathematics, but also you have to mention the where the subject id, sorry, the subject name is, dot subject name is equals to mathematics, and also we need the term name. So term name, I'm going to insert the term name here, so you will get this term name as a result. Exam term dot exam term name, and also here I'm going to delete these ones, and I'm going to get like this because it's easy to get it's easy to write like this because dot student index id, and the first name is from the student table. For student, we can get suggestions easier. Getting suggestions will be more easier if we write like this instead of just putting the names inside the version. So we almost execute now. We will get all the, this would be a much this is a good answer, but in this case you can see this is not the whole answer. The whole answer is highest mark obtained in the first term. So so what I'm going to do here is we haven't get the marks. We only need the mark. So now we have to get the mark column, and we can get the max, and we can get the highest mark on the second, on this, on the second term. So here you can see I have get the result as first term, so I have to say and the term exam dot exam term name is second term. Now we will get mathematics and the second term. Also you need the marks, so here I will get the marks from the student exam record table dot mark. Got the marks, right? Instead of getting all these columns, I'm going to remove these columns so we can focus on the mark column only. So let me do that real quick. Now we will only get the mark, and now it's easy. Now if we write a max query, we will get the highest mark like this. So 85.88 is the highest mark that obtained in the first term. Oh yeah, first term, sorry. So first term has to be the term. Yeah, 90. You can check it out, maybe 90. Is there 90 on first term? You can see 95, but it's for science. 90 is there, 90. There is 89 is for first term, and the subject is mathematics, but we got a answer as 90. Where is the 90? Here we go. So yeah, it's mathematics. And is there any higher than 90? I don't see any. There is a 99, but the subject is Sinhala literature. So yeah, we somehow able to manage to answer this question. We can move on to the third one, or maybe you can say it like this: s. If you put the s, now you can say highest mark, Now if you execute the query, you will get like this: highest marks for mathematics. So yeah, that's for the question 1. We can move on to the question 2, and I'll see you in the question 2. So the second question is, what is the highest mark obtained in the second term science subject? It's the same as the first one. Just you have to change the term and the subject name. So what I'm going to do here is select or from the database name is and the table that we are working on, and now we have to join the table, the next table, the table that we are going to join in the exam marks DB is student, and we have to mention which columns are going to match. So student tables dot the student index number and the exam mark records index ID, index number. If you execute the query, you will get an answer like this. It's not pretty much this is in a good way, but and I'm going to join another table. The next table is from the marks DB dot the term, exam term or table, and the exam term tables term ID, and the student exam mark records term ID, like this. Now if you execute, you will get a query, you will get a result like this. Question second. Now we have to be more specific. And what else we need? We need the subject. So I'm going to join the subject table real quick. Exam marks DB subject table, subject, and now we have to mention which column. Subject dot subject ID, and the exam mark records ID, also the column name, student subject ID, the student mark record subject ID. If you execute the query, you will get an answer like this. Now you have all the details. Now you can be more specific. No, you cannot be more specific than this. You can. Now we have to mention the term name and the subject name. So subject name is subject tables dot subject name is, I guess it's science. How to write the science? SCIENC, and you can see here I have made another mistake. It's double quotation, single quotation, and the subject name is science, and the term name, term, and exam term name is I think it's first term, no, second term. So we can get, now we have filtered the terms and the subject. Now we only need the specific column names, or you can only get, you only need the marks, right? So now we have filtered out the columns. Now we can work with the, we have filtered out the rows. Now we have to only, now we only have to work with the columns. So in this case the column will be mark, so I only need the mark. So I'm gonna remove, you don't have to remove, you can just simply say student mark records mark. That's all I need at this moment, and you got the mark. Now I'm going to say write a max query, maximum. You can get the maximum, the highest value in those rows, and I'm gonna detail it by, I'm gonna give more details. I want to say the highest score for the second term, or I'm gonna say 4, right? 4. Highest score for subject for science in second term, like this is unnecessary. You can see here we got the answer. So we can move on to the third one real quick. Now we are on the third question. The third one is what is the highest mark obtained by the student for all the subjects in the second term? So you don't have to specific about the subject, uh, but you have to specific about the term. So let's write it. Let's write the query real quick. So I'm gonna say select. So the same select all from the exam mark DB is the database that we are on, and the exam mark record is database. Sorry, the table that we are working on. And I'm going to join the first table that I need. It is in it is student table. So dot student, and now we have to specific about the student and the student mark records, the columns. So on the student ID index number, and it's going to match with the student exam mark records index number. So if we execute the query, we'll get a result like this. And I'm going to join the term. I'm going to join the term table real quick. Exam term, and I'm going to say exam terms ID. Exam terms term ID, it's going to match with student exam term records exam term ID. And also I'm going to mention the subject as well. Subject, and on subject ID, subject names, subject tables, subject tables, subject ID, and it's going to match with the student exam mark records subject ID. Now we'll get the whole result, and you can see here there are plenty of columns, and we have to be more specific. So in this case we only need the we only have to mention the term. So where this terms, exam terms dot term name is going to be the second term. So we will only get the second term's results. You can see here. So second term, and even in the second the term ID, you can see here it's second term. All the results are for all the results that here is shown for second term. Now we can talk about the mark. So we need the highest, what we need here, highest mark. So again I'm going to say max mark table, sorry, the mark columns highest value. So student mark record tables mark columns highest value, I need this is the one. So now we can move on to the fourth one. is which subject got the highest marks in the second term. We will go to that. I'll see you in the fourth question. So now we are on the fourth one. As I said, as I read earlier, which subject got the highest marks in the second term? Which subject got the highest marks in the second term? So we need to get the subject name by searching the second term, and let's see what we can do about this uh, thing. So I can say select all from the as you can see here, highest marks in the second term. So we need the second term, the term table. So I'm going to join this term table, exam.term, sorry, exam term, on the exam terms ID, exam term tables term ID is going to join with the student exam mark records, uh, mark records term ID. So if you execute the query, you'll get a result like this. So we have joined the term and term ID, and also we need the marks and the highest mark. So how are we gonna get the highest mark? So in this case, we can write where in the highest mark. So you can say like this. Dot mark is 90. Like if you say 90, then there will be a 90, right? There will be a 90. We'll get the exact the answer for the row that has the 90 as a value for the mark column. So we gonna insert a subquery. We're gonna write a subquery, and the subquery will return the value of the highest mark in the whole table, like that. So I'm gonna say in select the student exam mark record dot mark from exam mark db is exam mark db dot exam mark record, where no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get the yeah, I'm going to get the if you write a query like this, you won't get any answers. Probably it will say, it will give an error message. you still get you still get a result, but I don't think so it's a valid one. Mm, so you need a max query. So like this, if you execute this query, you'll get a result like this. And this is for the whole term, I mean not the first or second, because we haven't mentioned the term. We can mention the term as well. We can say inside this we can mention the term where in select term name, right? But I'm going to get the term name from the exam term. So exam term, select exam term dot term name, exam dot term name from the exam term table. So for that I'm going to mention the term database name. The exam term is the table. After that we have to mention the term name where exam term dot term name is I think it's which one, second term, second term. And if we execute the query, we will get a answer as a second term, but if we don't need second terms, the term name, we need this term ID. So I'm going to say term ID is what I'm looking for, and outside this subcode I'm going to say where the term ID in the student exam mark record. So student exam mark records term ID is equal to the subquery that we have wrote. And here you can see I have to delete this. Now if we execute the query, we will get the maximum mark, the score for the second term. I think we pretty much finished the question. I hope you guys understood my explanation. This may look kind of complicated, but it's a simple query. Also you only need the subject name, but here you can see there isn't any way to get the subject ID. I mean there isn't any way to we only get the subject ID, so but we need the subject name. So I'm going to get, and in this case I'm going to get the subject ID. So it is from the student mark record dot subject ID is the only thing I need. So it is 3. And after that what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write another subquery, and it will get the subject name, and it will get we will we will look for the subject ID from the subject table. Select sub exam mark db dot subject table. Sorry, this isn't the right one. Select subject tables, subject table, subject name from exam mark db subject table, where the subject ID is equal to the answer that we have got. So we can just simply put this inside a inside the brackets, and it will get the thing for you. So it is singular language and literature. So this is the final answer, I think. So which subject got the highest mark in the second term? So we have got the second term, we got the term subject name, and yeah, we are pretty much done. We can move on to the fifth one, and I'll see you in the fifth one. Now we are on the fifth one. So it is find the details of the student who got the highest marks in the second term. So how are we gonna get the answer to this? So find the details of the student, and here you can see we have to mention the second term and we have to get the highest mark. So how can we do this? So we have to move from the second term, and when we get the results for second term, we have to filter out the marks, or when we get the marks from the record table, then we have to filter out the second term marks, right? Then we can check out which the highest mark from that result, and then we will be able to filter out the student ID by that. Then we can write a joint query for the student table from the student ID in the uh, record tables, and we will be able to get the whole thing. We will be figure out the whole thing like that, I guess. Have to figure out. So we are going with the we are going to search from the second term. So we'll get an answer. So I'm going to select all from the exam mark db's dot the mark record table, where the student mark tables say term ID is 2. So if we execute the query, we will get the result for the second term, right? You can see here, but we don't need to search by the ID. We have to search, yeah, of course we have to search by the ID, but we don't have to we shouldn't have to mention the ID name, because no one will be know the no one will be know the no one will be know the term's name by its ID, because IDs the humans cannot remember the IDs sometimes, right? We can write a joint query or we can write a subquery. It's on yours. I'm gonna go with a subquery. So if you want to write a subquery, you have to say, you have to write like this, and inside this I'm going to select the I need this term ID, right? So I'm going to get the term ID from the term table. So term, is there any term tables in the exam mark db dot exam term? So that's what I want. Term ID is what I'm looking for. From the exam term table, exam term table, where this term name is, I think it's second term. So you'll get the same answer like this, except we have searched, we didn't use this term ID. We get the term ID, we used the term ID, but we got the term ID from the term table using the term name, right? So this is a good so we have got the term, we have got the results for term 2, and now we have to get the marks. So how we gonna get the marks? So from this table I'm going to get the term ID. So how to get the term ID? I'm going to get the term ID like this. I'm going to mention the student mark record table dot term ID is the only thing I need from this query. If I execute, I'll only get the term ID. Now I have the term ID. So now we got the term ID. I'm going to search the marks. I'm going to get the marks for this term ID. So select, let's say, select the marks from the mark record table, student mark record tables marks, mark uh, from uh, hold on, this one. Now we have to mention that we are searching for the term. We are searching by the term ID. So where the term ID, and I'm going to put this inside a subquery. I'm going to put this query inside a subquery. Now we'll get the marks for the second term, right? We have got the marks for the second term. So this is more a specific, this is more accurate way to get the marks for second term, instead of uh, getting, like, writing, you know what I mean. And after that, After that, we can get the maximum marks, right? So what I'm going to do here is put this as a mark inside a max. Now you will get an answer like this. You will only get the maximum value in the mark column, 98.5, and it's for second term. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the uh, now I'm going to write a another query. It's for the term, it's for the student table. So select student student dot student last name, first name, and everything. I need student last name. Now I got the, and what else I need? I need the student ID, right? Index number from the uh, from the from the from the student index number. So I'm going to say um, exam marks db dot student table, where the student id is student dot index number is equals to, right? uh, this maximum value is from this fund, right? The exam mark record. So we had to get the index number from the exam mark record. So for that, I'm going to say uh, I'm going to write a join query. So I'm going to join the student dot mark record table. I have joined this one, and on and I have to mention which columns that are going to match. So student dot index number is going to match with the student exam mark records index number, and where the marks. So we have to mention the marks. So student student dot mark is going to be like this. So I hope you guys understood the answer. Let's see if we get the answer. No, we got an error. And why we got an error? You can see here the version. Check the manual, the join right syntax for this join query. So what is the right syntax for the join query? Let's try get it. Let me get it real quick. This is student mark record tables. this is the student mark record table, and I have joined the index number with student index number. Now that's fine. And where student mark record tables dot mark is equals to the query that we have got earlier. So let's separate this query so we can understand a little bit. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give a value like this, manual default value. Not we still get the issue. So it is from this query. So select student first name, student last name, student index number from the exam marks DB student, where the student index number. Yeah, okay, we shouldn't write like this, right? So what can we do? So what can we do here? It is we have to remove this one. So I think we will get an answer like this. Yeah. So that was the mistake. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this. I'm going to paste the query that we have separated earlier. So this is kind of complicated. I'm not going to lie. I hope this will work this time. Yeah. Student number 3. So let's see the student number 3. He is the one who got the highest mark for second term. Uh, you see, he's not. So you can see there is an issue. Let's paste it over here. No, we don't have to paste it. You will get 98.5 as the result. And here what we have done is so 98.5 is the answer. Let's paste it over here and let's see, is it the same? Start. Is that the same answer? So student number 3, he is the one who got 98.5. Student number 3. Yeah, yeah, he is the one. Oh, because he got uh, he got 98.5 because in a different subject. It's for single language. The subjects can be changed, right? The subjects doesn't matter in this case. we only have to think about second the term. So student number 3, in this case you can see 98.5. So again I'm going to copy and paste it over here so we won't get, so we have, yeah, it is the right answer. Mhm. So yeah, this is the proper answer, I guess. This is also a pretty much complicated. It's not complicated, but the concept, if you understand the concept, if you understood the concept, this is pretty much a easy query. So thank you for watching. I will see you in the sixth one. Hey, hi, now we are on the sixth question. So you can see here, to find the details of the student who got the highest marks in the mathematics in the first term examination and the class in which he is studying. So you can see uh, we need to search the student who got the highest marks for mathematics subject in the first term. And when we get the student experience, we can get the class ID, and we will search the class name by using we will get the class name using the class ID. So also you have to get the uh, we need to get the you have to mention the class name, sorry, the first, the term, and the subject, right? Yeah. So this is a kind of, let's say, select all from um, select all from exam marks db is the database that we are working on right now, and the table is mark record. Select all from this student exam mark record where uh, student mark records subject id is equals to 2 1, sorry, and student mark records term also equals to 1. So when we execute this query, we will get the result like this. When we execute the query, we will get a result like this. It's you can see it's all for this based on the first term and the maths subject maths. Uh, but instead of we can use a subquery to get the subject's name, and we shouldn't have to search the subject. We shouldn't have to search this. We shouldn't have to search by the subject ID and the term ID. We have to search by term name and subject name. For that, I'm going to write a join query. Sorry, a subquery. So in this case, I would say subject. I have to get the subject ID from the subject table. So select uh, subject table, subject ID from the subject table, where the subject table, it's from exam mark db is where the subject table we are looking for, and we are searching the subject ID by the subject name. We have to say the subject table's subject name is mathematics, if we execute the query, there's an issue where how to figure out the issue. Let's go to the subject table and let's see, is this right? This one is right, but what is the issue? Select subject ID where exam must db subject table, and the subject name is what is the issue here, and select all from let's see. With the error message, check the manual that corresponds to your MySQL server version. Right syntax to use near subject. Oh yeah, I see. I saw it now. So select we have to select all from the exam, select all from the subject table where the subject name is equals to mathematics. Now we won't get the error. Yeah, and we have to do the same, but we have to change the term names. We have to do with this term table. So I'm gonna write subquery. So select the term name is that we are looking for. So I'm going to say exam term dot term ID. So yeah, we are looking for the term ID and we are searching by the term names. Select term ID from, get the term ID from the term table, and the term table it's in the exam marks DB. Set the term table and where term name, right? The exam term tables term name is, I think it's equal, yeah, it's equals to first term. Is that right? See, first term, yeah. And also you have to check the first terms term names first term. Okay, because we won't get any spelling error mistakes. So if we execute the query, we will get the same result. It means we are on the right way, right path. Now what you can do is now we have the this whole table we have. From this you can separate the mark table, mark column, and you need the highest value in that column. So I want to say student mark records mark columns highest value. I only need the highest value like this. So we got the 90, and after that, so what we have done is we have searched the second term, sorry, we have searched for the first term and the mathematics subject. We got bunch of rows, and from that row we have there is a column for marks, and in that mark column we have what we had done. We have separated the mark column and filtered out the maximum value in that mark column. So we got a 90 as a mark value, and it is the maximum in that from that entire result that we have got for first term and mathematics. Uh, Now we can write a sub query. We can insert this inside into us. We can um, insert this as a sub query, and then now we can search. Now we can search the student ID by this mark uh, from the student exam mark table. So I'm going to say student exam mark table is student ID is what I need. Yes, please give me the student index number. Yeah, we got it. And from this table we had to mention and the mark record table where the exam mark the student mark records mark column is equals to this value. You get the student number 4. He is the one who got the 90 for that in that term and the specific subject. Now we got the student ID. Now we can search the student IDs. Now we can use this student ID inside the students table. Uh, so what I'm going to do here is select and I'm going to search from the I need the students details, right? Or what I need students ID, but we already got the students index number, but we had to search it from the student table. So student sorry student yeah oh, sorry from uh, sorry I need the student tables index number from the student table. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, dot student table where student ID is index number is equals to this value. We got the students index number, right? We got the student's index number and find the details of the student and the class of that student, right? We need the class name and we need the student's name. So for this thing I'm going to get the student's class ID. Instead of getting student's index number, I'm going to get the class ID. I get the class ID as like this. The class ID is 1, and I'm going to search from the class now. I'm going to search from the class for the class name. Select the class name for from the class table. Where class ID is equal to this one, right? I guess we will get this one, right? We got the class name somehow. Now we have to now we forgot now we have to get a way to get the class student's name. So you can see there isn't any way to get the class name, the student's name. For that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a join query, and I don't need the class ID. In this case, I don't have to write a subquery. Instead of writing a subquery, I have to write a join query. So, but in this case, you can see I have got a class ID anyways. Um, so here I'm going to say I'm going to join the uh, class the class table. So the class table is, let's join the class table real quick. Dot class class, you have to mention the on the class dot class ID, that we are joining the class ID, the column class ID with the students class ID. And now we can easily get the class name. Now you can get the class now we can easily get the class ID, sorry, the class name, sorry, yeah. So here you can see I'm going to say class table class is class name. Let's see if we can get any answer. Yeah, pretty much we have done it. Now instead of getting the result as a class ID, I only need a class name. I need and I need the student's first name and last name. I don't need the class ID. First name and student dot last name. Now you get the student's class name, student's first name, and student's last name. Yeah, Amanda Moses 11A is the one. And yeah, pretty much we have done. Let's read the question again. Find the details of the student who got the highest marks in the mathematics in the first term examination and the class him while he is studying. So this is the answer for question 6, and I'll see you in the question set 22.